Willie Nelson's story never followed a tidy line. Looking back, every detour, every hardship, and every quiet friendship seems to have carried him toward exactly the life he was meant to live, one where music and existence became the same thing. The chaos of early loss, the grind of survival, and the highs and lows of a career built one small stage at a time all seem, in hindsight, to have been quietly pointing him somewhere specific. Among the people who shaped that path, no bond mattered more than the one he built with Kris Kristofferson, a friendship that would test both his art and his will to keep going, even when the road ahead offered no guarantees. Willie Hugh Nelson was born on April 29, 1933, in the tiny town of Abbott, Texas, a place so small it barely showed up on a map. He entered the world in the middle of the Great Depression, when scarcity was the norm and hope often felt out of reach. From his earliest days, Willie knew what it meant to be left behind. His mother departed when he was still an infant, and his father soon followed, leaving Willie and his sister Bobby to be raised by their grandparents, Nancy and Alfred Nelson. Inside their modest home, his grandparents offered warmth, structure, and the first spark of music that would guide Willie for the rest of his life, even as the world outside stayed hard and unforgiving. The Nelson home had almost nothing in the way of comfort. Winters bit hard, and old newspapers lined the walls just to keep the cold at bay. But inside that scarcity, Willie discovered something that would become his lifelong anchor, a guitar his grandfather handed him at age 6. The instant he touched its strings, music stopped being a hobby. It became a language for feelings he had no other way to express, a way to work through the confusion and loneliness that shadowed his childhood. By 7, he was already writing songs and performing anywhere he could, helping feed the family without knowing he was laying the groundwork for a career that would outlast him. Willie grew up steeped in faith, singing gospel harmonies in the Methodist choir every Sunday and absorbing the kind of devotion that stays with a person for life. But something in him kept pulling toward different sounds: swing, western, and the earliest strains of country, music his grandmother didn't approve of. That tension between faith and curiosity planted the first seed of the independent streak that would define him, a quiet refusal to be boxed in by anyone else's rules or expectations. While Willie was still a boy, his grandfather Alfred, the steadying force of his life, passed away. The grief cut deep, but it also marked a turning point. With Alfred gone, Willie took on responsibilities far beyond his years, tending animals and shouldering chores that demanded an adult's endurance. Those early trials built a resilience and self-reliance that would carry him through every hardship still to come, long before he ever picked up a microphone. After high school, Willie briefly enlisted in the Air Force, hoping it would provide the structure his life still lacked. A back injury cut that short, leaving him to figure out life with little direction but plenty of determination. Music filled the gap. He worked local radio jobs, sold records door to door, and learned early that talent alone would never be enough. Success would demand patience, invention, and the discipline to keep moving even when nothing was guaranteed. By the late 1950s and into the early 1960s, Willie landed in Nashville with dreams far bigger than his wallet. He wrote songs that would go on to become genuine standards, only to watch other artists cash in on his words while he stayed largely unseen and underpaid. It was a humbling stretch, but an educational one, teaching him hard truths about ownership, the music business, and staying true to himself even when the rewards kept going elsewhere. Eventually, Willie went home to Texas, where he found something unexpected in Austin, a scene where hippies and cowboys shared the same dance floor without judgment. That freedom fueled records like Shotgun Willie and Red-Headed Stranger, raw, honest, and unmistakably his own. In Texas, he finally found room to create without compromise, the space where his outlaw identity would take full shape. Red-Headed Stranger didn't just defy Nashville's expectations. It proved that authenticity could hit harder than polish ever could. His approach cracked open the door for every artist who didn't fit the traditional mold, sparking the outlaw movement that reshaped country music around creative freedom instead of conformity. Along the way, Willie learned that the people around him mattered as much as the music itself. His collaborations with Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, and Kris Kristofferson brought more than commercial success. they brought real brotherhood. These were men who understood each other's scars, who valued staying real over staying famous, and together they formed the Highwaymen, a group bound by shared history rather than image or strategy. As Willie's fame grew, so did the weight on his shoulders. Financial trouble, legal battles, and health scares tested his resolve again and again. Yet every time, he found a way to rebuild, treating music as both his outlet and his lifeline. He never solved his problems by retreating, only by staying creative, resourceful, and leaning on the people who believed in him when little else was certain. Behind the public image, Willie carried private wounds, the loss of his son, and the end of earlier marriages. Those heartbreaks pushed him toward reflection, healthier habits, and a sharper sense of how fragile life really is. He eventually found stability with his wife, Annie D'Angelo, whose steady support helped him build a family rooted in music, trust, and love. A foundation that let him keep making art with fresh purpose for decades to come. Nelson never let age slow his creativity. Decade after decade, he kept exploring new sounds, working across genres, and performing with the same fire that carried him out of Abbott, Texas. His later years stand as proof that art has no expiration date, that reinvention and curiosity can stay alive at any stage of life. Of every relationship that shaped him, none ran deeper than his bond with Kris Kristofferson. Built on mutual respect and a shared sense of being outsiders, their friendship went far past professional collaboration. Kristofferson's music and presence were a constant in Willie's life, a source of comfort, encouragement, and clarity whenever the path ahead grew unclear. When Kris Kristofferson passed away in 2024, Willie spoke openly about the depth of what they had shared, voicing gratitude and acknowledgement he had long kept quiet. It was a stark reminder that even legends carry unspoken feelings, and that the deepest connections are often felt far more than they are ever said aloud. Willie Nelson's story was never just about awards or fame. It is a story about resilience, about staying true to himself, and about finding meaning in both music and friendship. Every hardship he survived, every song he wrote, and every bond he built added up to a life lived honestly and fully. Looking back, he sees a journey where struggle and song were never separate, where persistence and authenticity mattered more than convention, and where the quiet loyalty of friends made all the difference in the world. His story keeps unfolding, a testament to music's staying power, the strength of true friendship, and the human capacity to keep moving forward no matter what stands in the way.